Continuation of fake news and police copter cover-ups for November 11th. I left off at 7:26 with a small silencer white copter flying right to left in the copter pocket, and then it exited out just beyond Geronimo Montilla, closer direction towards Geronimo Marguerite intersection. And then at 7:29, immediately after, the actual police helicopter came up from Oliveira Castilla, which is this line that they've really been trying to sell lately. Originally, in the last few days, when they tried to sell this line, I thought they were doing the event where I followed him down to the ice blocking hill at El Dorado Park and recorded him doing power circles at Geronimo Montilla and in the neighborhood beyond. And then I ran out of storage space and he chased me back to my house. And I deleted the apps and recorded him. And recently he's been hitting that line, and I thought it had to do with that. But it's actually a combination of that fake police copter line and now supposedly the military copter route. And so they really tried to solidify it. I think there were 3 times that he flew in this line today, and then the fake Blackhawks, one of them flew there too. And so the police helicopter at 7:29, so immediately after the small silencer copter, plus 7:26 is when my video of the small silencer started. So it probably ended at 7:28:30, and then the police copter came at 7:29. And so it came up from Oliveira Castilla intersection, and then it crossed up slightly over the end of my street, not all the way at Solero de Seo, slightly closer, and it also slightly moved away from me so that I couldn't identify it as the large or small, even though I identified it as the large, and it continued straight out in the park, out towards somewhere near Trabuco Marguerite intersection. And I think the reason that they sent that out is because the helicopter at 5:17 it had the blue bottom for 10 or 15% and then the whole white top, and so they tried to combine a lot of things. And then also the 5:17 helicopter had because they had lights that would shoot onto the rotor. I'm not sure what the part is. I guess the rotor is, I call the rotor the circle part that connects to the blades that spins, so I guess that's right. And they shot an orange and a white light onto that, and that's because one night they flew 2 military helicopters across my house. If you're looking at my house from the street, they came from the front left to the back right, and they had no lights on. They had little rectangular, almost like reflectors. They weren't even lights. They were running lights, but they were really dim. And one of the helicopters had a crown of fire, is what I call it, and it was shooting flames up from the rotor, and it was gnarly. And then so I recorded them and I ran back inside, and they had already stopped and turned around, and one of them was coming back, and then he stopped coming back and then flew down the park really slow. And so this helicopter was a combination of everything, the 5:17 copter, and it even tried to cover up for the crown of fire helicopter, but it had just little lights shooting on it, and it looked stupid, and they weren't solid. They were trying to be like flames, so it was like flickering. And then so I think that because I identified the color of that, I think that they sent the small silencer helicopter later to say like, oh, that was just the silencer helicopter, try to cover up with the sounds because my phone only picks up some of the lights. And then they sent the police helicopter immediately after to mix it up and say that, oh yeah, that was just the police helicopter. So I think they were trying to immediately cover it up. And so at 7:35, the police helicopter that flew up from Oliveira Castilla returned behind my house, but I got up on the truck and he didn't show up. I heard him come back, and so maybe he came back and did a U-turn, or else he made a right and continued back up towards Geronimo, or towards Montevideo Elementary School. And their lights overall, they've changed recently to this slightish pinkish, reddish orange. And yeah, so that's the completion of November 11th.